it's Colette. Welcome to Tuesday Tips. Today I want to share with you my love for using embossing paste and stencils. I love getting a little bit messy and I really do love my stencils. Now Couture Creations are bringing out a whole range of beautiful stencils with each of their collections, and this one is from the C'est La Vie collection. If you haven't seen that yet, go and have a look. It is gorgeous. So this is one of the stencils, and you can see it's been pretty well used already. I really do love this. And what I've got here is just a piece of cardstock, which is cut to 6 inches by 6 inches. So what I'm going to do is, I have here this little mat. This is the Couture Creations craft mat, and this is my messy mat when all the embossing pastes and the glue and all sorts of other stuff and the paint come out. This protects my work surface and it really wipes away really cleanly. And the great thing is you can use your heat gun on this as well, so I love that when you're doing wet embossing. But for this technique, so I have my mat down and I have my stencil and I have some paper, and I'm going to use my embossing paste. So this is Anna Griffin's embossing paste and it's really cool. The texture of it is just beautiful. I've just finished off a tub and I've started this one here. So I'm going to be using that. And you can use back of an old credit card. You could use different ways of actually applying this, but the way that I like to use it, and I find works really well, is to grab yourself some palette knives. You can get these in plastic or metal, and I've got one that is angled and one that's straight. And what I like to do is I like to go into the tub and I like to take out a really generous amount of the embossing paste, and then I want to set my stencil in place. Now this is a 5 by 7 stencil, so I could quite easily have a piece of cardstock that's 5 by 7 and create this all over, and it will look stunning. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to do a bit here and a bit there. So I'm taking it and starting it outside of the stencil area. I think that will look much better. And I'm just going to do bits and pieces. Okay, so just a little bit up here, starting it off, and you can see I'm just rubbing this on, and I'm going to have a bit just down here. And then once I've done that, I go in with my flat knife, and as I said, you could just use a credit card, an old credit card if you wanted. You don't have to have these. So once I've done that, I'm going to pick this up nice and slowly. Oh, it looks so beautiful. And then I'm going to do a little bit more just on this other side here. So the same technique with my angle, going in, just picking up a little bit and maybe a little bit here in the middle. That looks pretty cool. And then scraping off that excess. It also gives me a chance to clean my stencil a bit too. So there we go. So there what I have, just zooming on in here, you can see that I've got some little bits and pieces. See here? So what I can do with my stencil brush is I can go in and I can pick up any bits that I don't want. Now I'm going to actually cover a fair amount of this so it doesn't worry me too much. I don't mind how that looks pretty cool to me. So then once you've got to that stage, you can then just pick up your piece of paper and you just need to tidy up your edges. So you can see how your edges there are a little bit rough. So the way that I do that is I literally get my finger and I just rub that all the way along. Same down here and the same down there. And then I get a wet wipe and wipe my fingers. So you could get rid of anything that you don't want using that technique I've just showed you, but I quite like how this looks and I have a nice card in mind for this. So how pretty is that? Really cool. So I'm just going to grab a wet wipe. I'm so glad that this camera just zooms into a particular area, because my desk at the moment, it looks like a bomb has hit it. It is shocking. I have this little bit of clear space here and the rest of it pretty awful, but I'm sure I'm not alone in that. So did you see how beautifully that actually went onto the stencil? It's such a nice embossing paste to use, and that's distributed by Couture Creations as well. So ask your local craft shops or search for it online. With many of our beautiful online stores, they will actually have that in stock too. So I would then just wipe my stencil, and you can lay that in some suddy water to give it a real clean up once you've finished. Now there's a couple of other things that you can do to enjoy your messy play. Now Couture Creations have this wonderful range of little pots of pigments, and you can have lots of fun with these, and I often do. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to take out a little bit of pigment, just pop that down there. I feel like a chemist doing that. And I'm just going to put a little bit of water down beside it. And I'm just going to pick up that water really liberally with my brush, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flicker, just to add a little bit of softness to what I've got planned here. Okay, you can put as much or as little as you want. You can actually paint whole areas, and even with this raised section of this embossing paste, you can go over it with ink pad, you can go over it with paints. There's really quite a lot that you can actually do, so you can go as much or as little, but I love my flickers, and I always do way too much, but I still love how it looks, so I'm happy with that. Just a little splash of colour going in there, and wouldn't you know it, there's splashes of colour all over my desk now, but that's okay, it's messy play, I'm allowed. So moving that to one side, using the good old wet wipes. The other thing you can do with these great pigments, so they're from Couture Creations and they come in a whole range of colours, as I've said, you can actually mix them with water, and if I can find a scrap of paper here, oh, that'll do. You can actually, I haven't actually cleaned this yet, but just to give you an idea, you can actually use this and spritz. So I've put some pigment in here and I've added water. You can mix colours up, and I'm just going to spritz this down. You can actually tape this down with washi tape if you wanted. It's just going to give you a little idea. So you start to get that beautiful design happening on there as well. So I'm enjoying my messy play today. So a couple of ideas there. So with your pigment paints, you can actually mix them with water and create your own mists. You can do pick them up from your mats and do your little splashes all over the place. Right, so what I'm going to do now, because I know you like to see how I finish off a project, I thought I would just quickly just put something on this, because this will be a card front. I might do another thing here, which I do love to do. While this paste is still wet, I'm just going to add some beautiful super fine glitter. This is Couture Creations, and it's really lovely and fine. So I'm just going to sprinkle, because I'm a glitter girl, all over here, a little bit of fine glitter, and that's going to stick to that white embossing paste. I'm going to shake that off. Shake, shake, shake. Alright, can you see that now starting to glitter? How beautiful is that going to be? I love it. So pretty. Alright, so I think this calls for a beautiful big flower in the middle. So let's get a nice big flower, and I am thrilled to say, putting my messy mat away now, give that a clean up in a minute. Really simple to clean, you just give it a wipe with your wet wipe. I'm really pleased to say that with the CeraVe range, we have got these gorgeous 3D or A4 decoupage sheets, and there's a couple of different designs, and these are starting to come out with each of the collections from Couture Creations. So I would very quickly just show you what I do with these. Soft mat, tip it over on the soft mat, get yourself a nice big embossing tool. Can I find one? No. See, I told you my desk was messy. So I'm just going to use the back of my bone folder, and I'm just going to go around the edges, and this is going to do a couple of things. You can see it's starting to bend, And it's popped out of there absolutely beautifully now, so I haven't had to tear or distress it in any way. And can you see how that's no longer flat? It's slightly shaped. Now if you had an embossing tool, you can continue to do that. So what you do is you take out, so this was number 4, the next piece I would take out would be number 5, and then I would find out where that goes, and it's just going to go down here, and I'd stick that on top. Then I would go for, actually let's go back, that was not number 4, that was number 1. So we go to number 2, which is this beautiful flower, flip it over, get it out, give it a little shape while we're doing that. So that's now ready to go down. So I match that up, which is going to be over here, and then I will actually stick that down. So, and then I continue that process. But let me show you how I do stick it down. So I really, really love Couture Creations foam mounting tape. This is 6mm by 4 meters. What that means, it's not really high. So a lot of foam tapes are quite high, and by the time you build up these 3D things, they're really tall and they look a little bit crazy for your cards. So what I would do is I would take some of this beautiful tape. So can you see how nice and not so tall, how little that is? I love that. So I would just simply take some of that tape, and I would, if I could find them, use my, here they go, my non-sticky or my Teflon coated scissors, and I would simply just pop a piece like that in the back, just one little piece. This is how I do it, and I peel that off. Then what I would do is I take my little bottle. Again, this is a Couture Creations bottle. You've seen me use these loads of times. I simply fill this up with a nice strong PVA glue, and it gives me control. It never clogs, and I love that I don't have to get a needle out. So I am covering all of that sticky tape with glue. And you might be thinking, come on Claire, I know it's late at night, but really? Yeah, really. What this enables me now to do is to pop this on into position, and I can actually slide this. Can you see how I can slide that round? If that was just the tape, it would be trapped. I would not be able to do that at all. So I can slide it into exactly the position that I need. So I've got my first piece down, and then I can continue to start to build. So, magic, I have one that I did earlier, which is finished and all in its place. And I thought that this would look really pretty, and yes it does. Looks really pretty on here as my card. Now what I might just do to finish this quite simply is to take one of these gorgeous little labels, and I would just curl that label. You could use a pencil, I'm just using this bone folder. See how it's got a slight curve? And then what I would do is I'd take my glue and I'd put a bit on each end, and then I would pop that across like that, so it's slightly raised, and then I'd stick that down. Now I can't do that yet because my texture paste is still all wet, so I end up with a nice kind of a raised textural element there. So what we have there is the basis for a really, really pretty card. Let's have a little zoom in. You could put a little bit of flower, a little bit of ribbon, a ribbon bow on there or something like that, and that would be pretty too. So that's my Tuesday tips today. I hope you've enjoyed them. So we've looked at using the beautiful new stencils that you can get with Couture Creations, and the beautiful embossing paste by Anna Griffins, also from Couture Creations. We have looked at how you can add glitter by sprinkling it on the wet. Now what I like to do as well, once it's all dry, is I like to seal that glitter in place by spraying it with a spray adhesive, and that means it doesn't come off on top of the person you're giving the card to, although we do all like to shimmer and glitter a bit, don't we girls? So we've looked at the glitter. We've also been introduced to some basics of the pigments that Couture Creations do. You saw how I actually picked it up with a lovely little fan brush. Lots of water on there, and I just flicked it just for another element on my card. You can create beautiful washes with that. We saw how I mix some with water and how we can actually create beautiful backgrounds and masks with your stencils as well. So that was that. And then finally we looked at the beautiful new A4 decoupage sheets, a couple of little tips on that. So that's my Tuesday tips today. I hope you have fun with those and I hope you get a chance to play. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to check out the Couture Creations blog. Every day there are new projects going up and they are so much fun. Happy crafting, everyone. My name's Colette. Until next time, bye for now.